So today, we're diving into the world of parasitology, the study of some of nature's most fascinating and, honestly, kind of creepy uninvited guests. We're going to uncover their super complex survival strategies and learn why not every close relationship out there is what you think it is. You know the feeling, right? You're having a great time outside, and then you get that itchy mosquito bite. In that relationship, the mosquito definitely gets a good deal, and you're left with, well, an itchy bump. But is every interaction in nature really this much of a raw deal for one side? Let's find out. All right, to really get into this, we first need to figure out what we're talking about. What exactly is a parasite? What makes it different from, say, a lion hunting a zebra? Well, what really defines parasitism is this long-term, dependent relationship. A parasite isn't just a predator that eats and leaves. Nope, it moves in, it relies on its host for food, for shelter, sometimes for its entire life. That dependency is the key, and it always comes at a cost to the host. But here's the thing, that one-sided relationship, it's just one of the ways things can go down. Nature has this whole spectrum of close interactions, and to really understand what makes parasitism unique, we gotta see how it stacks up against the others. So let's break it down. We can basically sort these close relationships based on who gets something good out of the deal, who gets a raw deal, or who just doesn't care. Okay, check out this table. First, you've got parasitism. That's a clear minus-plus situation. One benefits, one is harmed. Think of a tapeworm just chilling in an intestine, stealing nutrients. Then you've got mutualism. This is the feel-good one, the plus-plus. Both sides win, like that clownfish and sea anemone. And finally, there's commensalism. This is a plus zero. One organism benefits, and the other one, it's completely unaffected. It couldn't care less, like a cow that stirs up bugs for a bird to eat. Let's just zoom in on that clownfish example for a second because it's such a perfect picture of mutualism. The fish gets a safe place to live, totally protected from predators by those stinging tentacles it's immune to. And in return, the anemone gets cleaned and might even get some leftover food scraps. It's a true partnership where everybody's happy. So we've established that parasitism involves harm, but it's easy to jump to conclusions and think of it as this big destructive disease. The reality, though, is way more nuanced. The impact a parasite has isn't just a simple on or off switch. And this is super important to remember. Just because an organism has a parasite, it doesn't automatically mean it's going to have a severe disease. In fact, a lot of the time, the damage is pretty subtle. It really depends on a bunch of factors. You really have to think of it as a spectrum. The number of parasites makes a huge difference. A single parasite might have zero noticeable effect, but a whole bunch of them, that can be a totally different story. The host's own health and age are also huge factors. A strong, healthy adult might handle an infection just fine, but a very young or already sick host might not. So that harm can be anything from basically nothing, all the way to serious illness, what scientists call morbidity. It's all about context. So, how in the world do these parasites manage their often super complicated lives? To figure that out, we need to talk about their life cycles and all the different players involved in their journey. Okay, first up, let's talk about the definitive host. This is the big one. It's the organism where the parasite becomes an adult, and this is the most important part, where it reproduces sexually. And if you need an easy way to lock that in your brain, just remember this. The definitive host is where the parasite's sex life happens. It's the final goal for the parasite. But it's not always a straight shot to that final destination. Many parasites need a pit stop, a place to grow up and develop first. That place is the intermediate host. Think of it like a nursery, a place to mature before moving on to the main event. So, how does the parasite get from one host to the next? Well, a lot of the time, it hitches a ride. It uses a vector. The vector is basically the parasite's taxi service, an organism like a mosquito or a tick that physically carries the parasite from one host to another. Okay, let's put all those pieces together. In step 1, we've got a parasite developing inside its intermediate host, in this case, a human. Then, in step 2, a vector, our mosquito, comes along, bites the human, and picks up the parasite. Finally, step 3, the mosquito flies off and bites a new person, passing the parasite along. This whole chain of events is incredibly complex, and every single link has to be in place for the parasite to survive. So, after all of these definitions and life cycles, you might be thinking, okay, that's interesting biology, but why does it matter to me? Well, understanding these details is actually a huge deal for medicine and public health. And this is the bottom line. This is why it all matters.
If you understand a parasite's life cycle, you can figure out how to break it. If you can break just one link in that chain, say by controlling the mosquito vector, you can stop the disease in its tracks. This knowledge is literally the foundation for how we diagnose, prevent, and control these diseases around the world.
All right, let's do a super quick recap. 3 key things to remember. 1. Parasitism. The minus-plus relationship is just one flavor of interaction out there. Don't forget about the win-win of mutualism or the win-neutral of commensalism. 2. The harm from a parasite isn't black and white. It's a whole spectrum. And 3. Those complicated life cycles with different hosts are absolutely crucial, both for the parasite's survival and for our ability to fight it.
Okay, time for a quick quiz. A clownfish and a sea anemone are living together, and they're both getting something good out of the deal. What do we call that relationship? You got it. That's mutualism, a classic win-win. All right, last one. The parasite Toxoplasma gondii can only reproduce sexually when it's inside a cat. So what kind of host is the cat? Remember our mnemonic? Sexual reproduction happens in the definitive host. So the cat is the definitive host. It really just goes to show how interconnected and sometimes just plain weird the web of life can be. Thanks for tuning in.